Hi, everybody. I'm Katie, also known as Lyra, and this is Miss Emily Claire. Together, we are Lyra Muse. We've been
Hi.
making some videos recently about, well, in the past year, I guess I'd say, progressively about collective consciousness and the things that we can do to raise the collective consciousness. So me and Emily decided that we would start doing video talks, record them, so that you guys can know all the awesome information that we talk about when we're not on any type of air. And we are considering for this video to start it off to say basically how we started into raising our collective consciousness. So yeah, Emily, you want to say anything before we
No,
dive
I
in?
just hi, and we're very, very grateful for you guys to be interested in watching this video of us. Um,
Yes,
it's pretty cool. I
definitely.
I feel like everybody should be doing this. Everybody should be talking about everything all the time. And I can't decide if I want my glasses on or not. I don't think I'm gonna put them on. Okay. Yay. All right. So
Yay!
you're into it in a timeline more like earlier than I am. I'm trying to
Right,
relate.
in a linear perspective, which is what we're gonna be going by because I don't know if any of you checked out our other video that we have where we were talking about how everything is connected and how no one's really ahead or behind. But for 3D human purposes, we're going to talk about this in a linear aspect of time for how it progressed for us. And the ones that know what we're talking about know what we're talking about, and the other ones will elevate to a point of knowing what we're talking about. It starts from some single point. All seeds are planted at some point. We're
Yeah.
constantly planting seeds. So I guess I'll begin. So
Yeah.
basically, I want to say that my initial kickoff, Emily, for me to start all of this
Mhm.
was reading the Four Agreements.
Yeah.
Now, I had read a year before that Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth, which was really life changing. It was good, but it wasn't what I needed. It was a seed planter. It was
Mhm.
just there in the collective knowledge storage bank, but it wasn't what kind of kicked me off. I was still in a relationship that had me kind of um, in a place where I needed to be for a lot of lessons and a lot of learning, but it wasn't a relationship that I could be in where I could progressively grow with my spiritual self, with my soul connection with my higher self and whatnot. So after that ended, though, it sent me into honestly a whirlwind of depression and just looking for anything that was real, for seeking something that was greater than me because I felt so low and I was like, I could not muster or find any motivation or just any kind of thing in myself that I wanted that made me want to progress or move forward. I was very much in a slump and very stuck. And I was raised in a religious background, non denominational, which is it's kind of like an extreme Baptist, I guess, if you will. But that kind of gave me this basis for religion and knowledge of knowing that there could potentially be something greater than me and that there was something bigger out there. Because just for several years, like once I hit 18, I was kind of like, screw this religion stuff. This doesn't make sense, or I don't agree with a lot of the things. So I kind of 180'd around the other way and ran real hardcore to just a heavy party lifestyle. Just self-satisfying needs, self-satisfying for the ego, I mean, not really kind of thinking about other people or consideration. I mean, like, yeah, I cared about people and I had compassion and cared about my family, but I was very ego self-serving for sure. And then I read the Four Agreements and that kind of whew, changed everything because I don't know. I know a lot of people maybe have read the Four Agreements, but it's to be impeccable with your word, don't make assumptions, don't take anything personally, and do everything the best that you can. And I had been living my life with taking lots of things personally and making lots of assumptions and just not really being very impeccable with my word and really not doing everything the best that I could do. And so once I saw it in that perspective, it was kind of like, oh, wow, yeah, there's other people in this world, which I perceived before, but it was definitely a shift to a higher level of understanding more that was around me.
Mm-hmm.
And then for me, the biggest thing was books. Honestly, books I've realized are my biggest form of self-motivation, because when I'm reading, I mean, like listening to stuff is good too, but for some reason, for me, a book hits me like no other, because it's like I'm absorbing the information in a different way, which to me makes sense because, you know, we all have different learning styles and we all absorb things in different ways. So it's only logical that certain things will be more resonating with people than other things. So then the second book I read was The Secret. And while there's not everything in it that I like agree with, I guess if you say, I mean, they focus a lot on monetary gain, and there's some other things, but the general idea of cultivating power within yourself and understanding manifestation and what we can do for ourselves, that was what was powerful to me. And I essentially started changing my whole life from that point on. From reading that book, I was like, oh, wow, I create my own reality. So I just started doing it. I manifested moving out to California. I manifested getting a vehicle to move out to California. I manifested meeting 2 Reiki healers for the calling of my highest self, if you will. I had no idea what Reiki was. I was just asking the universe, like, hey, what would be cool for me to do that I'll be happy doing? Can you throw me a freaking bone? The universe was like, wham, bam, boom, right in the face. I was like, oh, okay.
There you go.
There you go. So it's funny too, because that was the other thing that made me realize at that point, and this was about September of last year, that if you speak to the universe and you ask the universe for things, if you ask your highest self, if you ask God, if you will, ask God for the things that you need, and you actually take the time to sit and be still and listen, because that was my other key thing actually too, I want to throw in there, that helped me to move forward in my collective consciousness, was meditation. Meditation saved my life. Learning the steps to quiet my mind and to be in a quiet place where I can actually listen to God or listen to the universe and be like, okay, this is what you're asking of me. Now, Emily, I want to ask you, was meditation easy when you first started it?
Hell no. Is it easy now still?
Sometimes
No.
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 I want to like definitely make that so clear, because everybody that I talk to about meditation, they're like, oh, I can't shut my mind off. And I used to be the same way. I used to just say, you know, like, oh, well, my mind can't be quiet. I'm too ADD. I'm too this. I'm too that. Mm-hmm. Guess what? The whole world is ADD. Mm-hmm. And no one initially, it's called in yoga, or not in yoga, but yes, yoga, but the Vedic teaching, I want to say, the chatter in your mind is called chitta. Like they actually have a name for it, because everybody has chatter in their mind.
Did you see that video about the Buddhist monk, and he's talking about the bananas and giving that chattering monkey in your brain?
Yes!
Like, a banana. It was so cute.
It really is. In fact,
on BuzzFeed of all places. Like, find that video. It's hilarious. I love him.
Right. At some point, we're going to have to figure out how we can find video. I think they had that option on here where we can surf the web and we can show those things.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so that people can.
By the way, everybody, this is our first Google Hangout video of us.
Right. So we're
like running it.
Figuring out the buttons and whatnot. But hey, I'm pretty proud of myself. I'm not very electronically savvy, but I'm doing all right. Yeah. It just takes time and patience, like with anything else. So that's what I'm finding out. If you have motivation to do anything, if you have the time, and not even time, because time is an illusion, but the patience and the perseverance, you will accomplish what it is that you want to accomplish. That is a guarantee. It's just about, putting forth the effort and the motivation and everything to find yourself in it. And also too, the universe will bring you resources, and it'll bring you people in your life that you need for these certain things if you're paying attention.
Yeah, Yep.
So meditation, yep, that was where I started. I started doing these, like, I would go off by myself and I would just listen to guided ones on YouTube. I would just type in like guided meditation. That was literally the first things that I ended up typing in. And I
I
would
do that
filter.
all the time too.
Yeah, I would just filter through and I would find ones that I would turn it on, listen to like the first 2 minutes and see if I was feeling it or not. And then if I didn't like it, I would just change it to another one. Because
Yep.
sometimes they don't have voices that are soothing enough for me, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like to each their own. Everybody likes different
There was
different
one.
voices and things.
There was one that I'm sorry I'm interrupting, but there was this one lady that I was listening to, and her voice was fine, but she put this like weird ethereal filter on her voice.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is actually kind of like, it's turning spooky to me. Like, it's making it sound like kind of like creepy. So I was
Right.
like, I can't know. This is going to turn me into like creep horror movie mode. Like, I can't do this one.
Right. Next.
Yeah.
So, and then I would just sit by myself. I would go in the woods somewhere. I would just go somewhere where I could be peaceful and I wasn't disturbed. And I would just, like, thoughts would come to my mind, but I would let them pass and then focus back on the meditation. And then I would let them pass and I would focus back on the meditation. And then it's a practice, like with anything else. Like, we're, you know, few and far in between is someone naturally just amazing at something off the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it does exist and it does happen, but 99.9% of the time, does it happen? No. People are, you know, it's a practice, and people in our society and our culture, we have this fix it quick type attitude. Like, we can take a miracle pill and everything's okay, or we can be miraculously amazing at something and that's our destiny. Like, no, if you want something, it takes practice and working at it, just doing the steps to get to where you want to be at. And so to me, when I started to realize how meditation was so beneficial to me and how calm it made me, and this is from someone who, like I said, I was a partier. Like, I abused anything and everything. I was just a bottomless pit of want for things. It was like, whether it was food, whether it was people, whether it was attention, whether it was drugs, whether it was drinking, whatever it was always over in excess, because it was like I needed more and more and more. And meditation was the only thing that I ever found in my life that left me not like craving so much more. And it did, but in a healthy way of just like, okay, like wow, like I'm so calm right now. I can think logically about things. I can balance and separate my time. So anyway, it kept leading me to more and more steps, which I like to call, once you get into some form of spiritual consciousness, I call it the domino effect, because everything, it's like one domino knocks over and that was like the right move. And then everything just kind of falls into place and you're like, whoa, that was weird.
Like, oh, whoa. Also.
And then what's funny is, like, the universe, or God really, always knows so much better what I need than I know what I need. It's so funny. I couldn't have planned the things out better myself than what has happened for me and what has been done for me. It just leaves you in a feeling of awe that you're like, wow, like there definitely is something that's bigger than me, because I couldn't have worked all that out. I mean, but which we do. It's our highest selves, you know, it's the God within us, but we just don't give ourselves enough credit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and then bada bing, bada boom, now I'm here. Bippity boppity boo.
Let me put I'm burning my Palo Santo.
Oh, yes.
I live on a creek, and they, like, a couple years ago, they redid the sewer system out here. So every once in a while I get this waft of like stinky sewer.
Oh, that's so cute.
Oh yeah, let me just cover that up with some Palo Santo.
Right, which is funny, not funny, but it's completely relevant, because sage and Palo Santo, the reason that that holy men, shamans and stuff burned that back in the day is because it would actually kill bacteria in the air. Now, I don't think that they scientifically knew this. No. They would just do it, but science has figured out that it actually is beneficial to cleansing the air. So
it is. It does take away germs, and a lot of the essential oils, like frankincense, is like amazing, and that's why they used it to anoint people, because it's actually really good for so many different things in your body.
Yeah. Tea
That's
tree oil
awesome.
kills bacteria.
Right. Yeah.
But
Like,
that's a whole other webinar.
I can teach that. We'll do that another time. So I guess it's my turn to talk about where I started.
Yeah.
Where I came from. So I was not raised religious at all. Like, there was my father that I grew up with, not my biological father, but the father that I had like my whole life. He is a scientist, a chemist. He's got a PhD in chemistry. So it was like
Wow.
very scientific household. There was like not God. God was not spoken about. Things, it was not religious at all. My mom did a couple of things with the Unitarian Church. She liked that because it's a universal thing.
Okay.
But we didn't really like discuss that. Religion wasn't a thing. I did have a friend in middle school who was super religious, her family, and they would go to church. I had gone to church a couple of times. We had talked about the Bible, but I was just like, didn't like click with me. So,
Yeah.
and I like the ideas in the Bible, but I also saw how judgmental a lot of them were towards people. And I lived in a kind of, my neighborhood was nice, but it was like very in a redneck area of Maryland. So like there was a lot of like base shit happening. Like
Right.
the KKK was there. Like there was race wars in my schools. There was like a lot of stuff that I had to deal with all the time. I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's apparently it's going to be important to my story.
Yeah. Well, and you know what I wanted to point out too is that I felt the same thing about the Bible and Christianity and religion, and I felt like there was good, valid messages, but that things were what I've come to find and feel is that they were just twisted. It's not necessarily, like the meanings were. I feel like that history in general is a whole bunch of whisper down the lane. So you really need to take with you out of it what you can get personally, because it's definitely going to be shifted from what the original meanings and outcomes were back then. So I agree with you in that. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Yeah. And then I'll throw on top of that one is that now that I've actually studied all these religions and I've really like looked at the basis on all of them, they're all the same. Everything is based off of the same thing.
Absolutely.
The same basic ideas,
which is source connection and love and compassion, basically.
Right. Yeah. And so just like a chatter down the lane, like it's become certain things, and like, it's, you can't do this, you can't do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. These are warring. It's not supposed to be like that.
Right. So. Not only that, but if you get into some theoretical debates, they talk about religion equaling the power that they wanted to keep and have over the people, because the priests and the holy men were the only ones that knew how to really read. And so they acted as if they were the only ones that could transpire the information from God to the people. And that just, now everybody, not everybody, but we're blessed to have a large amount of our society that are able to read and be able to absorb and gain information for themselves. So that's really a blessing that we have this day and age. Back then they just had to trust because they didn't know any different.
Yep. And like watching history shows and, like learning history stuff is like you figure out like, wow, all those holy men, like not all of them, but a lot of them were super corrupt, and they were all about the money and all about politics
and power. And
it's not supposed to be politics. It's supposed to be source love, God love. So.
Right. And which each person's is individual and different, because we have our own relationship with source, with our connection. So it's not going to be the same for everybody.
No. Okay. So back up. So I was never raised with any of that stuff. And I decided to learn some things, but I never took a lot of stock in it because I saw what it did to other people. And I was like, oh, no, like, no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to like be in that. So I went through a lot of things. You know, I did destructive behavior because we are human and we live 3D lives and we do things that we think feel good, but in the end destroy certain things.
What,
So,
humans destroying things? What?
so you know, all the steps that you do in your lifetime, being young and like, you know, doing mistakes, but they're not mistakes. They're all the things that you need. Like I always say, and we talked about this last night, is like I have no regrets on anything. There are things that I was like, I wish I could have done differently, but I don't regret it, and I wouldn't go back and change it because
Right.
it's brought me to this person who I am today. And I think that
For
person's
sure.
pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that person's cool too.
Yay! High five. um, okay, so I did a lot of destructive behavior and I had a lot of pain. And, you know, self help, drugs, medications, like all kinds of stuff. It was, you know, psychiatry and all these things because I was so feeling awful all the time. They put me on medication and then that didn't work, and then certain things made it worse, and suicidal thoughts, all that stuff. And started reading Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer. I watched The Secret. I kind of like planted those seeds, learned some stuff, learned about my ego, Carl Jung, like all kinds of interesting things, but it still never took away that human pain. And so I had like little knowledge bits in my brain, and I would try and be the best person I could be, and I could see other people's mistakes so I could help other people and tell them like, oh, where this is this, but I could never follow it for myself. Never followed my own advice.
Right.
So then you did the Reiki healing on me, and
Oh,
what?
I was gonna say, I actually back in September when I had started to have that shift as well again, and I was meditating and stuff. I want to point out to the audience that I actually received a Reiki healing as well from one of my masters, Brian Lucchese, and that's what made me actually want to study energy work and energy healing, because I had such a release of emotion and pain. And I was like, what is this magic? I need to study it and know what it is. What did you do to me? I feel amazing. So yeah, I just had to throw that in there. I had that done for me as well. And then I studied it. So
Yeah, like what is this sorcery?
yes, it
Yeah.
was. It was crazy, like effective and just, whoa, it was powerful.
Yeah. Oh, and I see. I had done like, what did I had been doing binaural beats before that, and like I've done guided meditations and certain things, but I never like took because I never got it. Like never clicked until you aligned my chakras, and it like started a little bit of a Kundalini awakening, and then I, you know, like seeing visions in that state when Ganesh and Kali like flashed in my head, and I was like, oh, there's big stuff here.
Right, especially considering that those aren't gods that you generally refer to at all. They were just like, oh, hey, we're here. She's like, oh, what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, like I had read about Buddhism, so it's always been like a little bit
Yeah.
of, you know, Buddha. I got the Buddha. I want the Zen. Like, just give me the Zen. Just put the Zen on me, please. Just give me the Zen. But
Back me
but
down with Zen.
yeah, and those two pop in, and I was like, whoa, hi. And so after that, I felt good. We like both cried, and it was
Oh
like
yeah, it
really
was
such an emotional release. And I was in the shower. I'm a water sign, so showers, like I solve a lot of problems in my shower, and I get a lot of great ideas in my showers. So I was in it, and I was like, oh well, shoot, I need to be a healer too. I don't know what kind of healer, like a helper healer, but I
one.
need to do that.
I want to point out we
Yeah,
are all healers, every
yeah.
single one of us. It's just about tapping into it and understanding what our gifts are, what God has blessed us with, and having that quiet time where you're talking and reflecting. But I just want to let y'all know we're all healers in certain ways.
It's all in you.
Mhm.
So I guess that kind of just started my cycle of learning and getting in touch with certain things. Before that, I had been learning. I've been feeling like social discord, like um, watching people and their anger and like racism, and that's why I said the thing that because the racist thing, like all this Trump stuff and all this
Oh
like
yeah.
anger of everything. I've been seeing it all my life, and like people just not liking each other because of the color of their skin. It's like doesn't make sense to me. And so like that, watching the social discord and seeing like the man putting like others as slaves, and you know, looking at conspiracy theories, watching those videos, getting that information, like kind of figuring out what how the world works, kind of
Yeah.
seeing that. So that kind of also opened it to when you did the Reiki healing, everything kind of was like, whoa.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely came to a point.
Yeah. So I'm just now like finding little things like essential oils and crystal healing and tarot reading. Like all these things are like the little things that I'm gathering to create the whole person that I am.
Absolutely. And also too, I want to point out, you know, it's funny. This is why we chose for our conglomerate, if you will, a Spiral Resource as the name, because everything is a lesson and we're constantly circling back down in like a spiral into new perspectives of what our lesson can be and learning things in a new way. It's like the same one, but you're like, oh, I never looked at it that way before. And it's the same way with the seeds that are planted, because think about all the, you know, Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle that you were reading that you didn't necessarily utilize that information at the time, but it was a seed planted and you've now come back around to it and been like, oh, like
Yeah.
that's what they're talking about.
Yeah. And it's funny because Esther Hicks, like Abraham Hicks, like I had always taken pieces of what she had said, but I never like put together that she was channeling a higher stream of consciousness. Like I
Right.
never like, oh, I was like, why is her name Esther, but it's Abraham? Like I never thought about that. It was just there. So, and yeah, it's again, it's puzzle pieces fitting together.
It is. And so that's like the end goal is basically, you know, how Emily was just talking about being on that higher stream of consciousness. The thing is that everyone's higher stream of consciousness is the same stream of consciousness, because we're all connected and we can all be on the same frequencies. We're not always on the same frequencies. It's like radio stations. We can sometimes be tuned in or tuned out to what's going on. But the point is that collective consciousness where we understand that we're all connected is all the same memory space. It's all the same bank that's connected together so that we, you know, can have this. So these feelings and this raise in understanding and awareness is what everybody's going through. It's a journey that everyone has to take, and it gets us all to the same point. And there's many different paths to the same point that we all get to. It's like a math problem. There's several ways to solve the problem, but there's only one answer. And that's exactly what we're doing, is showing people like, okay, this may not work for you, or it may work for you, but this is what worked for me. And this is what gets you there.
Yeah. So Teal Swan has a video that I watched, and I love Teal Swan. She's got
me
so
too.
much.
She's amazing. I want to meet her.
Is real.
Yes. I'm throwing that out to the universe. Wouldn't mind meeting her, just saying.
Hashtag interview goals.
Yes.
Her and Russell Brand, definitely.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah. So much yes. I am so proud of him for coming out and expanding the way that he has into society and just not really caring and kind of laying out his beliefs. It's really, really inspirational.
Yeah. I love all the documentaries. Like he's done documentaries on the drugs and how like that's the abstinent. It's just
check him out.
Netflix him. It's funny.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out on Netflix. I didn't know he had a thing on there.
Teal Swan says it's an octopus. The video is called the octopus method. It's where if you want to look at somebody else's viewpoint without having your own attached to it, your own perception, is like she literally takes you through a meditation that you do where it's an octopus leg, and then you go up that tentacle up into the greater octopus head. and then everybody else on this whole earth has an octopus tentacle that you go down like
I
a
really
leg.
like that. That's beautiful. They said
So
the same thing recently too about studying life underwater, that the reefs and the different things, like basically what they have is their own ecosystems, and it even goes even smaller than to like the individual. But then once you keep getting bigger and bigger, you understand that it's all like the whole system works together underwater. Like, but each little area thinks it's its own deposit spot. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah.
like, and they don't have intellect to be able to be like, well, I wonder if this reef is quite bigger than what I am right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe not, but that's my perception, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
But
Well, I keep seeing that article that dolphins are smarter than us.
dolphins are extremely intelligent. They
Yeah.
actually they super communicate with each other. They help other dolphins. They make fun of other dolphins. There's dolphins that'll make fun of like the ones that aren't as intelligent. Seriously, like they have personalities. Like the animal kingdom is much more intelligent, I think, than we perceive it to be.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had to evolve just like we've had to evolve. They might not be able to talk, but they can communicate. That's for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah. I mean, cats can communicate through their eyes, like just by different blinks and like that. Yeah, like it's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know if a cat likes you, they do this slow eye blink. So sometimes if you ever meet me in person and I do a slow blink at you, it's because I like you. Because I do that with the cats all the time.
Awesome. So that's basically the start of both me and Emily's journeys. And we would love it if any of you wanted to share the beginning of your journey with us, give us more information that we could share with people, or even do a video chat with us sometime or something like that. Now what we're going to do is Emily has just got a new tarot deck that we are going to utilize. We're pretty excited about it. This one's brand new. We both do tarot readings with our own decks. She's got a couple of them. I've got two. And so this one's brand new. We haven't used this one yet before.
You have two and an oracle, an animal oracle card. And then I have 3 decks and 2 oracles. And I wanted to get I got the second deck or the third deck yesterday because the second deck is like different and it's harder for me. Like it actually legit came with like a book.
Oh man, a manual.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's like, I remember my friend, because that's the one my friend has too. It is pretty big. It's
amazing, but I want to, before I start to really use it, I want to read the whole book and
some back work for sure.
Because it's different than the typical Rider-Waite. Everybody's got the Rider-Waite kind of like vibe, but it's a really cool deck. But I'm not comfortable using it yet for other people. But this one's been the one that I've been using, the crystal deck, because I love crystals, and this one's a really good one, and it talks about your crystals and what to like work with when you have that issue come up. And it also talks about the chakra that it is it's like aligned with, and all of the major arcana gives you the planets. So it's really cool.
Yeah, and I like your crystal deck too.
I'm in love with I am so glad that these need to be the packaging, because I don't have boxes for all my cards yet. And this is like super convenient. You just like slide it off and they're in there. And I put little like all my crystals in here to like meditate with the cards.
That's such a cute idea.
Yeah. But this is the Golden Tarot deck, and you haven't seen it yet. We're going to do this one for you. But it's very, very much based on the Rider-Waite deck. So it's like the Golden Dawn kind of vibe.
Nice.
And so with my crystal deck, it doesn't have reverse meanings. You just kind of flip the card and it's not a big deal. This one does reverse meanings. And I want to note to people that don't know, that I didn't know until like recently, is that reverse meaning doesn't mean just flip the the like, okay, so this card is saying this to you, and so it's the opposite. It doesn't mean
Right.
that. It
No.
like, it's a little bit different. So that's why it's good to read your book too before you really use it. And then, so
a lot of it too, and I do want to point this out, does go off of intuition as well, though. Because you know,
you're
when
channeling.
you're being quiet, right? You're channeling, and when you're being quiet and meditating and doing the things to make you open to receive the messages, you receive messages for other people too. So definitely go much more with your intuition when doing readings and things like that.
Well, what the Wildwood said is that you read the book, you do it a couple of times, and then you put the book away and you just base it off of what you feel like.
Yeah, for
learn
sure.
the basic information and then stop doing that.
Yeah.
Stop reading it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I was like, oh, yeah, totally. Because a lot of the times I'll have a reading and like one card will be saying something to me and I'll be like, oh, well, here's a piece of knowledge that I know that will relate to that card, and it will just like flow. And
For
I'll
sure.
just pull it. Now I have Doreen Virtue is I got the guidance or the goddess guidance, which I am in love with because all of the goddesses are wonderful.
Yeah, we did those the other day. They are wonderful, for sure.
And the first card, I was shuffling it for the first time, and the first card that popped out was Kali. And I was like, that's my homegirl.
I think, though, actually, too, we should maybe do another video for doing the reading, because this one's almost over an hour, and just so people can have a timeline, that 3D timeline. So we're going to make another video, guys, of a tarot reading one, and we're going to let this one be ended for right now so that you can absorb all the information about just raising your collective consciousness, our collective consciousness, and hitting a point where you can feel good about what it is that you're doing. And I want to throw out that if any of you ever have any questions or comments or concerns, or just want to contact and say, hey, that me and Emily are both available, that you can hit us up. Our Facebook account together is Lyra, Lyra Muse, Muse. And then we have an Instagram as well. We have Twitter. All those are at Lyra Muse. So please contact us.
Comment down below on YouTube.
Definitely.
Hit subscribe, like us, talk to us. We'll talk back.
We also have an email at aspiralresource@gmail.com. So you can contact us there too. And we love you all. And have a blessed day.